Couple seats over here. Couple seats next to Mr. Moog, or, yeah. These sofas hold 4 or 5. Are you prepared to do one more? Are you prepared to do one more piece, the trio? I think that would be just a wonderful transition. Ladies and gentlemen, we are so fortunate to have the Red River Trio with us, Marin, Eduardo, and Jose. And this is a musical home, so help us move into that mood. No pressure. There's a chair over here.
There's two here.
You're welcome to pull some chairs. I think there's a few chairs out of the back. There's a couple more on a bench here, one more on that sofa. so much. The Red River Trio, students from UND, they're part of something called Project 88. In case any of you have spare change, you can support them for their trips to Japan and other places. So Marin, I know you have another gig to get to. Thank you for being with us. Joseph and Eduardo will be with us throughout the morning. As we pause here, where's our song leader? You know, we've always been a rather musical fraternity, and Kip Crana, dramaturg, San Francisco Opera, is with us today to be our song leader. Leading us.
Good morning, please stand. Hey, Steve. Go sing Philadelphia Upsilon. And we have the beautiful luxury that we never had in Washington.
At this time, I would like to call Jeff Christensen to the lectern to say a few words and remind us why we're here.
Good morning. University officials, brothers, guests, friends, welcome to the dedication of our new Delta Upsilon chapter house. You are invited to participate in this service of dedication with a spoken or shouted response. When you hear the words, we all can say, or we can all say, you're invited to respond with, "Let these doors be open." Let's practice that once more. We can all say, "Let these doors be open." Very good. With a sense of awe that after almost 190 years, the principles of our founding brothers, promotion of friendship, development of character, diffusion of liberal culture, and advancement of justice are all still meaningful and worthy to be lived out. We can all say, "Let these doors be open." For that little seed of a vision for a new chapter house that would last for a century or more, carefully nurtured so that it took root in the hearts and minds of a handful of North Dakota brothers, we can all say, "Let these doors be open." With heartfelt gratitude for the faithful work of the organizing committee that spent far more hours than they ever anticipated over the past 5 years, cultivating this little seed until it grew from only a vision to timber, concrete, and steel, we can all say, "Let these doors be open." With deep appreciation for the hundreds of brothers who have contributed financially according to their means, make this house a reality, we can gratefully say, "Let these doors be open." We warmly acknowledge the memory of brothers who have died, partners with us on our journey at UND, and often dear friends later in our lives. We miss you guys. With heartfelt thanks for your lives, we can all say, "Let these doors be open." Finally, with hopes and prayers that this house will become a true home for brothers now and for brothers yet unborn, who will someday be able to reminisce the way we alums will this weekend, because we had a home at either 515 Oxford or 505 Princeton, we can all say, "Let these doors be open."
Thank you, Jeff, and thank you for those words penned by Steve Trandom. DU from 1971. These events don't happen without sponsors, so let's take a moment to thank our sponsors. One of our lead sponsors is Garon Construction. We'll celebrate them more tonight at the banquet, but we have never worked with someone in such a group that has been easy to work with, responsive to many different directions from many different brothers who had many different ideas. So please join me in thanking Garon Construction. Secondly, Dakota Bank. I don't know if anyone's here this morning from Dakota Bank. I think they're being... Oh. Yeah, well, we looked at a number of different lenders, and Lee said, well, what about this one? And Dakota Bank has been so good to us to be able to loan us the money for construction, and thank 11 brothers who also signed personal notes to make sure we could do everything we had to do to get into this place. We'll talk a little bit more about fundraising throughout. Suffice it to say, we have maybe 3 years to raise another couple million. Hint, hint. Thanks also to those of you listening out there in the land, or we're being live streamed. Others, Whalen Moving and Storage. Jeff Whalen and his team have been extraordinary in just handling everything. Everything that came in over the last year and a half, and storing it and then bringing it. Jeff, you're here somewhere. There. Yeah. So.
I'm not trying to steal thunder, but just, if my memory serves me correct, and all my brothers can tell me, isn't Delta Upsilon the oldest non-secret, non-hazing fraternity in the world?
That's
Okay.
great.
Which is really a proud thing, but the only reason I stood up is that non-secret part is not exactly right. And, it's too bad it has to come known here in Grand Forks, North Dakota, but maybe it's better than in a big city. You hate to have riots and things, but then the secret part is there's a lot of firsts. Like, I don't know if my brothers, like the first time I learned how to tie a tie was for those Monday night meetings. The first time I need a navy blue blazer was for those Monday night meetings. But from a secrecy standpoint, I remember early on, my big brother took me under his wing. He said, Jeff, eventually, you're going to get gray hair, even DUs do. And I'm glad to see a lot of my brothers have done the same with me and have grown some gray hair. But he told me, but the secret to that, this is a secret, it's a DU secret, is don't really spread it all. But when that happens, when you start getting gray, and if you want to be younger, just grab a buzzer machine.
Sponsorship has its privilege, and Jeff he just did it. So, yeah, if you ever talk to him on the phone, it'll be a half hour later. We love you, Jeff. RBB Electric, is Erling here? Not today. They just have been great. Now, these lights won't be quite as bright, once we move into the next phase. They just did an amazing job, so thanks to our RBB Electric. Also, we have Carpet Garage, and Mark Tollefson is on the other end in Arizona, who provided all the flooring and tile. We haven't received a bill yet, Mark, so we hope that's a good sign. So we appreciate that. In addition, Fargo Jet helped sponsor. Thank you, Mr. Sweeney, for sending that in. See, you don't get applause. And Brian Poico Engineering, thanks for your sponsorship as well. Jerry, did I forget anyone? I'm waiting for my signal. Oh, Bobby, I'm so sorry. Where are you? Bobby? Back in the corner. Bobby, so there's an inspiration for this house, which you'll see at the lower level when you go through on tour. And then Bobby picked it up from there and worked very closely with several brothers to bring this space to fruition. So Bobby Hepper Olson, architect firm. Are we in Buxton? In Buxton. Thank you. We have a number of dignitaries, and welcome to each of you, because each of you is a dignitary, and we're so happy to have you here, alums, undergraduates, community members, alums, spouses. But there are a couple of people I want to just call out and thank them for being here. We are so lucky at the University of North Dakota to have an administration that is so positive about the Greek system. And Andy and Kathy Armacost. Andy and Kathy will be with us tonight. But Kathy Armacost, our First Lady. So tell me, is it okay to say First Lady, or is it more PC to say First Woman?
First Ladies.
Okay. We'll get by with that. So thank you. We also see this as a gift not just to the alums and the undergraduates to be and their families and friends, but we also see it as a gift to UND and a gift to the community. And part of that gift will relate to music and the ability to host musical salons here and lectures and so on. And that's why this was built in such an open way. So we've become very close to two music professors, Nariaki and Simona, professor of piano and professor of cello, and they are here with us somewhere. There we are. Thank you. When the piano rolled in Thursday morning, Nariaki was here to test it out, and we appreciate that. As we look to more engagement in the community, I'd also like to recognize Jonathan Geiger and Donna Hastings, who themselves host many concerts in their home, and maybe you'll have to host one here. So. Let's get on to the speaking. There will be many more introductions as we go of the speakers, but let's begin. It's rare that you can have the individual who is the founding father of an organization that's 63 years old here with us. Fred Mitchell left Ripon College. He was asked by a DU International Fraternity to come here and help found this chapter. So if you can imagine pulling up stakes as a sophomore or a junior, moving from Ripon in Wisconsin to the University of North Dakota to create this new fraternity that didn't exist and has different values. We are so lucky to have him and his wife, Linda, with us. Fred, you're on.
Wow. Good morning, everybody. And what a great morning it is. I mean, I'm absolutely blown away by this facility. And Lynn asked me to talk about a couple of things here this morning, and I will do that, but quickly. But first, I have to congratulate all of the alumni. Most, I hope, are here that were responsible for bringing this off. 88 Zoom meetings over 4 years. Talk about with dozens of people involved. Talk about a collaborative project. No central authority. It was all collaboration, and it's just amazing to me. And I congratulate each and every one of you profoundly that had a role in that. Lynn asked me to do two things: talk about why me up here, or why I was sent up here 64 years ago. And what my vision was when I got here. I can answer both of those very quickly. I'm not sure how I got here. In about November of 1959, the traveling field guy for DU came through Ripon, and he told me about the opportunity, and he asked me if I'd be interested in coming. And I got to tell you, the financial incentive was pretty significant. All my education expenses paid for 2.5 years when I got up here in the middle of my sophomore year. And then also, I think it just appealed to my sense of adventure. So that's how I got here. Now, my vision when I got here, I didn't have one. I didn't have a clue. I got no direction from the National Fraternity, which was headquartered in New York at that time, as to how to proceed. But fortunately, the Dean of Students at that time, a man by the name of Charles Lewis, had invited the DUs to colonize here, and it was very important to him that we succeed. And the first thing that I did was I met with Dean Lewis, and he gave me a list of about 10 guys that had all been actively rushed but had not joined a fraternity. So the first thing I did was I went around and introduced myself and met with all 10 of these guys, or 10 or 11, whatever the number was. And out of those initial conversations, a common denominator quickly emerged, and that was scholarship. Each of these guys was really serious students. They were future engineers, future physicians like Dr. West, future accountants, future PhDs. I know of at least 3 PhDs that were part of that, ultimately PhDs that were part of that initial group. So what about starting up a new chapter centered around scholarship? And that idea just took off. And it all flowed rather quickly from that event. And in fact, to communicate to the campus and the community at large that we were serious about that, we decided to make the grade point average to go active 2.5 instead of 2, which C+, I mean, it's not all that big a hurdle, but nonetheless, it clearly differentiated us from the other fraternities on campus. And it went from there. And I have to tell you, all of the leadership came from there. I never held an office in the fraternity. One minor except in the first pledge class. I took charge of that because nobody had any experience. And I'd experienced the traditional Hell Week and the hazing at Ripon, and even at 19, I knew that was just silly and nonsense. And so we immediately went to a Help Week, and our first project for that first pledge class, we went down and repainted the interior of the YMCA here in Grand Forks. Jumping back now to leadership, we had 3 really, actually 4, but 3 that took us through, more than 4. I don't want to exclude anybody. But the first 3 presidents took us through the initial process of getting our charter. And the first was John Malloy. John, unfortunately, he was our first colony president. John became a mechanical engineer, as I recall. He did a really good job of getting our colony organized and taking the leadership for that. And next was Clarence Gall, better known to his brothers as Clink. Clink unfortunately passed away a couple of years ago, but we're happy to have his wife Sharon, and here she is, Sharon, and Clink's two daughters, Karen and Kristen, here with us this morning, and came all the way from Wisconsin. Thank you very much. And Clink got us to about the 50-yard line, and with the goal being the national charter. And at that point, I only had one job left to do, and that was to get a house. And fortunately, I did not know that a bunch of 19 and 20-year-olds without any money could buy a house. I didn't know that. And that was fortunate because we did. We managed that. But then our third leader was Neil West. And Neil, you're here. There's Dr. West. It would be impossible to overstate the importance of Neil in getting us to that national charter. I'm from Kansas City, and we're pretty proud of our football team there. And Neil was our Patrick Mahomes. He took us down the field and across the goal line to our national charter, and that pretty much is it. Linda, help me. There were four things I was going to talk about. What was the fourth one? Do you remember? Okay.
You're doing well.
Okay. Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you. It's been a pleasure talking with you this morning. Bye-bye.
So, members of that original colony, could you stand up? Members of the original colony. Robert Pallets, yes. Fred. Robert Pallets, great. And Stu Leagard. Awesome. So, I guess, Neil, you're.
I'm sorry. I remembered my 40. I think my voice will carry from here. May I have another 30 seconds?
Yeah.
I wanted to direct my fourth comments to the undergraduates that are here. I can't tell you how pleased and delighted I was to read in the winter edition of the Open Visor that your grade point average is 3.15, and to know that scholarship focus has remained in place for 6 decades was just, it is just phenomenal. So congratulations to you all. Keep up the good work, guys.
And now the second president of Delta Upsilon, Dr. Neil West.
Nice flowers you have here.
Yeah, thank you. Nice tie.
Yeah, what this tie is called fried eggs and bumblebees. It is absolutely outstanding to see this facility. Over the last couple of years, I've been privileged to be part of, I don't know how many Zoom meetings.
88.
And the amazing thing to me is to be able to visualize these people in person, because my perception of some of them was, I thought he was short, but he's actually really tall. But what's the screen? I want to share a couple of comments. Can you imagine you're a owner of a fourplex on Oxford Street, and 4 college students come and say, we want to buy your house, and turn it into a fraternity house. And I'm sure that his other half said, you did what? But out of that has come all of you, and it's an amazing situation to see how far you have come. When I talk to some of the undergraduates, it's amazing what they are doing, and with the technology today, I can pick up my phone and talk to a relative in Singapore, and there's her picture. And the university is going to ask you to do some things for them also, as well as you being a student. One of my requests when I was a student here, I was on my way to Turkey as an exchange student. But I was asked by the alumni office, Cassie, this is what you need to do. I was to stop in New Jersey to see Maxwell Upsilon, who gave the engineering building for this campus. And I think that's an important thing that I always thank the university for, because the students are their best resources. And so I hope that you will be asked to make some visits on behalf of the university. The other thing is that this university is a leader in a number of areas, and particularly rural medicine and the medical school. Unusual combination of things. And I always remember what Chester Fretz said when he donated some of his millions. He always wants to give when his hand is warm. And I am just astounded at the generosity of time and money that many of you have given to make this property the showcase that it is for the university. So keep on keeping on, and I hope to read more about you in the near term as you fill this house with music. This cultural commons needs to be utilized, and you can do with lots of digital and cultural things that will enhance your career. So thank you all for being here. It's a pleasure to see you all.
Neil, that's such a good reminder of the 3 T's of philanthropy: time, talent, and treasure. And we certainly have had that kind of engagement from so many alums and friends and spouses across the country. Well, now we want to hear from the current president of the undergraduate chapter. Keith is, I'm going to say, a fellow Hoosier. I'm a North Dakotan, but I was adopted into Indiana when I went to grad school. And Keith, can you fly your airplane over here? And he's an aviation major. Keith?
Wow. Good morning. I just want to start off with the house is beautiful, and on behalf of the undergrads, I'd like to thank everyone here for your continuous support, either time and donation, for helping us on our journey to build our new home. I was asked to share a little bit about what makes this day special for me and how I got here. So when I first came from UND, as Lynn was saying, I'm a Hoosier, I'm from Indiana. I didn't know anyone. First time living on myself, I had no idea what to expect. But the brothers of DU, they welcomed me in. They showed me around. They showed me where my classes were, gave me a place to call home. When I joined, I was overjoyed that they extended me a bid, and I got to join and create those same memories for future members to follow me. And as it worked out, they elected me president, which we'll see how well that works out for me. I tricked you all. But as president, I would definitely want to use this house as a tool to grow our relationship as brothers and towards the community with the music salon. It's wonderful that you all have joined us, and it was a beautiful performance, by the way. But using this house as to grow as a brotherhood and give back to the community is what it's really all about, and for philanthropy and donation. But as I look out at all of you here today, it's really cool that the lifetime memories, and it's obviously very pertinent today. We have alumni from all different decades and years from DU, and it makes me proud to call myself a DU. So on behalf of the undergrads, again, I'd like to thank you all for being here and for the countless time and generosity that you all put in.
Having had the privilege of serving on the board of Delta Upsilon International for 6 years, one of the things I came away with and learned was that the most successful chapters have really high and effective alumni engagement. And we certainly have had that. It was our chapter advisor, Brad Offit, who sounded the alarm that we could no longer live in that dump at 5:05 and say, okay, Brad, I think I heard it. And set up that first meeting on November 22, 2019, to begin exploring a relationship and a partnership with UND to have this property and to begin building. So just a warm welcome to our chapter advisor, who's been so significant in this whole process, Brad Offit.
Well, good morning. I am so unbelievably honored to be able to stand in front of you all this morning as we dedicate this house. This has been a long, long journey. It was 1,611 days ago that a small group of us met with university administration to talk about this property, and that was in November of 2019. It has been 911 days since I stood before this group at the groundbreaking ceremony. That's a long time. It's been a long journey, and in honesty, the path has not been linear, let us say, to be very, very, very honest. But all that being said, there is no one who can argue with what the end result of this project has turned out. It is nothing short of absolutely spectacular. And this is something that we can all very legitimately be very, very proud of. There have been so many people who have contributed to this project, literally dozens, and I can't begin to name them all. I do, however, have to give some special thanks to my co-chairs or co-conspirators of the Building and Architecture Committee, Carrie Schilling and Brian Poico. I can tell you, that the effort and the time and the knowledge that those two guys have contributed to this project, we wouldn't have even gotten out of the starting gate without them. And so thank you very, very much. I would be very remiss to not give thanks to Lynn. Lynn's been the spearhead of this entire project. His boundless energy, enthusiasm, and optimism also drove this project to as far as it did. We would not possibly be where we are without Lynn. And I know this sounds like a thank you, but that's really, I felt really compelled to do thank yous. The next thank you I want to give is to the 3 siblings who run Garon Construction. When you do a building project, it can either be a dream or a nightmare, and a lot of them turn out to be the latter. In this case, it was an absolute dream. These people have been absolutely unbelievable. You see the quality of the craftsmanship they gave us, and without them, I don't know that we would even have gotten through to the end gate. So. And finally, and most importantly, I need to give thanks to my wife, Gail. She has been incredibly patient with the time that I have devoted to this project, and probably many of you don't know, she has been also intimately involved in a lot of the details of the finishes, the design. Her fingerprints are all over this place, so if we can. All right, so I am feeling like put on my chapter advisor hat for just a couple minutes here. I am very happy to report to you that the undergraduate chapter is on solid footing. Membership is stable, and we all recognize that we need to increase the overall numbers to maintain overall stability and financial success for this chapter. We've been through a pandemic. We've gone through a year of recruiting without the benefit of a chapter house, which is an unbelievable challenge, and I think every one of the undergrads that are standing here and a couple of the advisors that have been involved will absolutely agree with that. Nonetheless, we initiated 12 really, really good guys over this last academic year. That being said, recruitment remains vital. We absolutely have to make that a top priority as we move forward into next fall semester. The guys all know that, the advisory board all knows that, and we're committed. We are also committed to scholarship. I think it was Fred that mentioned that, and the guys have been doing really well. I mean, some semesters a little better, some semesters not quite as good, but the last 2 have been 3rd and 5th place amongst fraternities, a 3.15 and a 3.16, consistently above the all-male undergraduate average and consistently above the all-fraternity average. And that, to me, is the major measuring stick. The other thing I can tell you is that we have an excellent executive board in place, and they are ready to move this chapter into the next academic year. Their leadership, I'm very confident in. And so now I'm sure you're all very happy to hear that I'm getting to the end of my remarks. And so as I close, I want to express deep gratitude to the dozens and dozens of individuals who have worked tirelessly to make this project come to fruition. And I also want to express deep gratitude to each and every person who has donated to this project. Of course, you do not build a house like this for free, and every dollar that we have raised is so much appreciated. And that's whether it was somebody who gave $100 or $1 million. We just couldn't possibly do it without you. We still have some work to do on that, but I'm confident we'll get there. At this time, it's my sincere pleasure to introduce our next speaker. She's a dear friend of mine. She's been an ardent supporter of the Greek system and Delta Upsilon in particular for many, many years. And without her, I'm sure we would not be where we are. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a warm round of applause. I'll get there. I really will get there. Give a warm round of applause for the Associate Vice President of Student Affairs at the University of North Dakota, Cassie Garrett.
Thank you for the very kind introduction, Brad. Today is a momentous occasion for the undergraduates and the alumni members of Delta Upsilon. I know there have been countless phone calls, emails, site visits, meetings, and design selections, and that's just been in preparation for this weekend, folks. So if there were 88 Zooms to plan the meeting, I bet there were 188 to plan this weekend, right, Jerry? I think that's probably where we're at. So in all seriousness, today marks the culmination of years of dreaming, of planning, and of fundraising, all done with the strong determination to create the best housing experience possible for the brothers of Delta Upsilon. While momentous for Delta Upsilon, it is also a day of celebration for the entire campus community, especially the UND fraternity and sorority community, and I so appreciate the opportunity to be part of the occasion. The journey to this moment has been one of collaboration, dedication, and vision. While I don't know exactly when the dream of a new chapter facility was sparked in the minds of DU alumni, perhaps, Brad, when you walked into the other facility for the first time as chapter advisor. The dream officially, as you've heard, was shared with me on Friday, November 22nd, 2019, in Twomley Hall, room 305, when a group, as you now know, of Delta Upsilon alumni met with a handful of UND administrators to discuss the possibility of a new chapter house. Here's a little interesting history fact. So, Kathy Armacost, do you know what you were doing on November 22nd, 2019? Any idea? So I just happened to do some calendaring. That afternoon, probably not Kathy, but her husband Andy would get a call from the search committee that was at the time narrowing its finalists for the university's next president. We had completed 6 interviews, and that afternoon they met to narrow the finalists to 2 people whose names I don't remember, and Andy Armacost was met that day, and then interviews would be happening in the next couple of weeks, and in early November, President Armacost would be named the 13th president of the university. So while the DUs were meeting in Twomley 305, the search committee was also doing its work to set the vision for the university, and that's a key aspect of this, and you've heard it. This university, I've been affiliated with UND now for 30 years, since I was an undergraduate, 22 years as a professional. This university now supports the Greek community in the ways it did when Tom Clifford was president, when Bob Boyd was university student affairs. I know there is a proud DU alum initiate who lives just north of here by the name of Gordon Henry, who is here with you in spirit today, even though he can't be physically with you. And I also want to acknowledge some colleagues. I know you'll meet President and see President Armacost tonight. There's no bigger supporter for the Greek community than President Armacost. He's a proud Pike, by the way, but don't hold that against him. So he's a Pike, which when he first came here, someone wasn't familiar with Pike, and they said, Cassie, I only know Pikes to be fishes. And I'm like, no, it's a fraternity as well. So, but Pike. And Mrs. Armacost, and then I know back in the corner, the other big supporter, my boss, our Vice President for Student Affairs, Dr. Art Malloy. Dr. Malloy, please raise your hand. So, thank you. I don't get to do what I do to support the Greek community without people like Dr. Malloy and with President and Mrs. Armacost, so I appreciate it. While I never doubted that this day would arrive, given the individuals leading the vision, I never imagined that I would be joining you as the mom of a DU member at the time of this house being completed. My excitement for this chapter house grew immensely when my son Jack Parrish was initiated last year, because I knew the conditions of the other facility as well. So it was good. It was perfect timing. It was perfect timing. Y'all, I truly, truly believe that fraternity, when done right, can be one of the best and most positively impactful experiences for college men. When done right, fraternities provide belongingness, support, and social connections that are critical aspects in college success and personal well-being, especially for young college men. I'm so happy to tell you that Delta Upsilon does fraternity right, and I'm so proud that my son is a member of this chapter of Delta Upsilon, because this chapter does fraternity right. Let me just tell you, to the alums in the room and to the friends, it is worthy of your support and investment, as Lynn said, hint, hint, right? Is that hint, hint? They're good. While the fraternity experience is about much more than a chapter house, as you all well know, having been without one for the past year, you also realize that the chapter house can enhance the fraternity experience. This chapter house provides a safe space for late night social gatherings, for late night conversations, a comfortable place. I'm getting to the social gatherings. I just got ahead of my speech. Just wait. It's a safe space for late night conversations, a comfortable space for studying, a place for social gatherings, provided said social gatherings follow all DU risk management policies, the UND Code of Student Life, and all state and local laws, gentlemen. That's the key. It's a critical thing. I don't care what you do during your late night conversations. It's those social gatherings that I'm worried about. This house is where lifelong friendships will be forged, where leaders will be nurtured to lead their own way, and where the fraternity's values will be advanced. It will be a place where everyday happenings will become your lifelong memories. It will be the heartbeat of the DU brotherhood. And yet the significance of this facility is far more than bricks and mortar. This chapter house is a testament to the unwavering spirit and the generosity, both financial and emotional, of Delta Upsilon alumni and their family and friends. This house is the realization of dreams years in the making, and it is a symbol of the commitment and excellence and brotherhood that will stand as a home away from home for generations of Delta Upsilon brothers to come. Undergraduates, as you embark on a new chapter in the story of DU at UND, I hope you will carry forward the legacy of those who came before you. That you will remember the sacrifices and contributions of men like Fred and Neil, who founded this chapter in 1961 and called 515 Oxford Street home. Of the brothers who built and strengthened this chapter at 505 Princeton Street, and of the alumni who so generously gave of their time and their talent and treasures. And Lynn, I'm gonna add two more important T's that I've learned in my field of fundraising. These are two, and this I think is critical in what's made you successful. The other two that are critical, it's your ties and your testimony. What you all have done is shared your testimony for TU. You've made the connection of your ties. So time, talent, and treasure is important. The ties and testimony that you also share about your fraternity is what will make the future of 421 Princeton a truly memorable part of DU's history. By striving for excellence and living the values of DU, you will honor the legacy of the alumni with you today, undergraduates, and ensure that DU is around for many generations to come. My deepest gratitude to all the DU alums who had a part in making the dream of this house a reality. Your hard work, your generosity, dedication, and high standards are on full display in the beauty of this facility and stand as a testament to the enduring bonds of brotherhood. I also want to say a special thanks to the alumni who, in addition to supporting the construction of this chapter house, have invested in the individual members of this chapter by creating endowments that provide scholarships to the members of DU. Jim Sweeney, Carrie Schilling, Doug and Katie Mark, Brian and Sue Poico. Your gifts and investments have been critical in providing ways for this chapter to celebrate and recognize brothers excelling in the areas of scholarship, leadership, and service. Scholarships matter to our students. They help make the UND educational experience possible, which is what needs to happen for them to ever have an opportunity to be DUs. I thank you so much for the many ways that you support DU. Brad Offit, if I could clone you, my friend, and share one of you with every chapter on this campus, I would likely never have to read another police report in my life. Y'all, Y'all, I know the dirt on everybody, just so you know. Like, I get all the police reports. I'm here to tell you, DU is different. DU is different. We do a good job. Someone has said, Cassie, what's the best fraternity on campus? And that I can't answer. I can't be biased, but I will clarify. My son is a DU, is what I will say. And I leave it at that. Brad, you truly, as we've said, are the epitome of what an outstanding chapter advisor is. You never make it about yourself. You make it about the men of the chapter, and that's critical. You have served as a wonderful mentor, colleague, and friend. And I'll tell you, if not a text from you on January 3rd, 2023, inquiring if my freshman son might be interested in visiting DU, Jack may never have had this opportunity. I'm thankful for you, my friend. And Lynn, For those of you who don't know, so in 1995, I was chapter president of the Alpha Chi Omega House. I vividly remember being at a leadership conference, River Valley room of the old student union, sitting on the floor, and in came this person that was introduced by the name of Lynn Luckow, and I'm like, wow. I still remember, and I've told you this 29 years later, of some of the things that you taught me about leadership that day. I also can remember, okay, we took that. I went into a field in higher education. Back in another career, Lynn was in charge of Josie Bass Publishing. When you study the field of higher education, every one of your books is published by Josie Bass Education, and I thought, it's a UND person that like leads Josie Bass, and I always thought that was the coolest thing ever that I had met you. And again, outside of the nerdy world of higher education, no one would care about that. But Lynn, you have been an inspiration of leadership, of kindness, of generosity to me for the 29 years that I've had the pleasure of calling you a friend. I know this wouldn't have happened without you, and I know that you, as others have said, have carried the vision for this project, and I thank you, my friend, so very, very much. So with that, to the undergraduates, I will tell you, I am done. You got Jack. Young Master Alex Parrish is a senior in high school and may be looking for a fraternity in the fall, so you can visit with him, show him around. Not to put anybody on the spot, but just know the Lambda Chis have already offered a bid, so it's a competitive thing, so I don't know. He's a 4.0 student, so he's kind of like his brother, but I say that in terms of everybody. To the alums coming back, I also just want to say thanks. You all have traveled from great distances. I have the privilege of going to many of these events. I don't see people travel as far as many of you are here, so that truly is a testament to you all. And with that, congratulations. Thank you for letting me share this very special day. And most importantly, welcome home, DU.
You all know I'm prone to cry from time to time, but thanks for that keynote, Cassie. It was great. You know, it takes many different things to make a home. The physical plant. I think, here it comes. For many of us, at 515 Oxford and the start of 505 Princeton, there was a woman named Seal Ewis. Somebody help me. Who was so gracious, taught us all manners, which fork to use, how to keep our elbows off the table, and many more things. And we are so pleased that her son, Jack Ewis, his wife Susan, and their daughter, Mary Beth, are with us today. And Jack, we know you're a beta, and we love you for it, and that you introduced Mom to the early colony guys and gave her a new home as well. So thank you. Is Helen here? And then our next house mother, who was with us a number of years as well, beloved by the guys who were here in the 80s, Helen Heen. You can stand up, Helen. So this chapter does not exist within a vacuum. We've been part of an international organization, as you heard earlier, founded in 1834, that helped bring us our founding principles, our framework for who we are and how we live. And we are very fortunate to have the president of Delta Upsilon International with us today, who also is a personal friend. So he's come all the way from San Francisco. Tom DeRyan.
Thank you very much. I want to start with the fly on the wall, or the elephant in the room. And for those of you that haven't had a chance to visit upstairs, not only is this a beautiful facility, but for those of us who have lived in chapter houses, and I'm a proud graduate of our Oregon State chapter, class of 1992, I was raised in Corvallis in my 5 years of the fraternity. And yes, gentlemen, I did say 5 years. So if you can eke out that additional year if you can. I've already picked my room in this chapter house. They have double beds, and they have refrigerators, and they have space. I lived in maybe half the size of one of their single rooms upstairs. I think it's a Feather is maybe the room I was looking at yesterday, with 4 bunk beds, no TV, and no refrigerator, and 3 guys who snored. So for what's going to happen here, I wish you well. Please save me some space. If you can't fill it, I will come join you. And hopefully pay less than what I pay in San Francisco. I am grateful, as Lynn mentioned, to bring you greetings from the International Fraternity and our 69 chapters and over 80,000 living alumni and 3,000 active undergraduates. Before I get to say a few of my remarks, I get to also selfishly bring my thanks for having me join you today. In my 30 years as a DU volunteer, I've been witness to many examples of the true definition of our 4 founding principles of friendship, character, culture, and justice, but none so much as in 3 of my primary mentors in my 30 years of the fraternity, because they are here today, and all of whom are proud to be distinguished alumni from the University of North Dakota. The first would be Russ Grunhauser, class of 1983. Rod Kirsch, class of 1978. And of course, their wives, who enable them to do the incredible work that they do for DU on a regular basis for their 30 to 40 to 50 years. So thank you, Karen and Mitch. And 2 of my brothers who live in San Francisco. The first would be Greg Gordon Solom, who joined you from San Francisco in your countless Zoom calls as part of your planning and your design committee. And of course, one of my best friends, Lynn Lukow, who's been my mentor since I joined the fraternity's staff the year after I left Oregon State and became a fraternity staff member. One of my first visits with alumni to try and do the educational work of our fraternity was to go to San Francisco, where's Cassie, and to meet with Lynn when he was still with Josie Bass, to talk with him about what work can we do, how can we collaborate to educate and to build the lives of our men and our undergraduates. And from that day forward, Lynn and I have been best friends, and I'm very grateful. So UND, to those who have said it before, is doing it well, and they're doing it right, and they're doing it better than anybody else. So thank you very much. I too get a little bit emotional because those 3 men have served to reinforce my love and commitment to this organization for 35 years since my initiation this week, April of 1989 in Corvallis. Enjoying a significant growth and development over the last 15 years, DU International continues to strive daily to set ourselves apart. Cassie brought it up, and many of you know, our fraternity's founding principles are more relevant today than they've ever been before. We strive daily at the international level to reaffirm how our values and our principles can continue to inspire and to grow and to help encourage young men to be better than they ever were without us. At the international level, we have just embarked on our new strategic plan, which we hope will take us through the next 5 to 10 years. They've got 3 main pillars, that strategic plan. One is to provide impactful experiences for all of our undergraduates. You know, we have a lot of undergraduates, and UND is a shining example of trying to get as many undergraduates as they possibly can to experience what we try to provide at the international level, and you all are doing it, again, better than anybody else. The second pillar, we're working to innovate our fraternity operations and our delivery mechanisms. For those of you alumni that are in the room, students learn very, very differently than you did. We need to be innovating on a regular basis to help understand how our students will grow, how they learn, so that we can continue to plug into that and help them grow to be better men. And the third would be, we're working hard to invigorate alumni development and engagement. Well, you're a shining example of invigorating alumni development and engagement. We couldn't be more proud of or appreciative of how the University of North Dakota and our chapter here is already helping us to achieve our goals in our strategic plan. We're working hard to live and promote our values on a daily basis. You all are a shining example of that. Cassie didn't have a chance to mention, and I'm sure someone else will at some point, but if you didn't, let me brag a little bit about what I've learned about the chapter. Just in this last year alone, they have won excellences in leadership development, excellence in community. They have the most outstanding chapter president. And for those of you that didn't know, the University of North Dakota chapter of Delta Upsilon was named Outstanding Chapter at the University of North Dakota. That's incredible. Once again, to brag from the international fraternity, we are so proud of what the men here do in Grand Forks. The UND chapter, we have when we look at our chapters on an annual basis, one of the things our chapters strive to do is to be men of merit, to succeed in all aspects of chapter operations. Our UND chapter is an 8-time sweepstakes finalist and a 2-time winner of the sweepstakes trophy for Delta Upsilon fraternity. So we do it great. We may not do it great every year, but we do it great. So thank you very, very much for that. And it's not like I need to tell you all the value a physical structure, a facility, can play in that growth and that development. Bringing men of varying backgrounds together, aiding in their personal growth and development, as well as fulfilling our promises. The chapter house, the facility does that. Again, I chose to stay at Oregon State for 5 years. I wanted that additional year, living and breathing with 60 men who helped me work hard, understand my flaws, learn how to work with people, learn how to live in a room with 3 guys who kept me awake all night, studying for tests, having fun, conversations at night, not social activities. Nowhere can that be done better than in what you all have worked to build and provide for your future here today. We couldn't be more grateful. DU at the University of North Dakota continues to achieve at the highest levels of merit in our organization, and we appreciate that. You set a standard for other people to look at, for our other undergraduates to take note of, and we're grateful. All of this to say, when we speak of what it means to be relevant in today's society, to be a contributing member, to be successful at building better men, the University of North Dakota chapter of DU is on the right track. And hopefully, this facility will continue to help you do that and to be that. We can proudly look to what our undergraduates and alumni in Grand Forks and beyond are accomplishing. Today, you are providing impact and innovating already. You're providing impact for all your undergraduate students. You're impacting the community, and you're innovating, and you're able to sustain, and you have definitely invigorated your alumni. I mean, it's 250 people coming in, not to mention the countless that are joining us via the live stream, but also out there that couldn't join us today that are grateful and that need to know what you're doing and how you're succeeding. So again, I bring thanks, selfishly for me, for allowing me to join you. This is one of the best things I get to do for the international fraternity. I get to come and share and hear stories, and every single, I walked into Joe Black's last night, and and I had some nice conversations, Cassie. There was not one undergraduate brother who was not welcoming and stuck his hand out and said, hey, not one bought me a drink, but that's a story for another day. We still have tonight. Hint, hint. Friendship and the ability to tap into something that has lifted my heart for 35 years since the day since I graduated is very important to me. And I appreciate that. It's one of the best things I get to do is travel the country and to meet with you. So I am very, very grateful you would allow us, the International Fraternity, to join you today. And I bring thanks from all of our alumni, all of our undergraduates across North America for believing in what you believe in and for being a shining example of how Neil said it best, how our 190-year-old value system can be more important now than ever before. Friendship, character, culture, and justice will lead you through the rest of your lives, gentlemen. Please keep those values and those principles in your head and in your heart. And to the alumni and the family and friends who have made this new home, this new facility, a reality and a home, I'm not sure I know of a more solid investment, a more solid way to spend your money than in the future of this fraternity. It's a shining example. Thank you, gentlemen, and your wives and your families and our friends for building better men. Now at 421 Princeton, hopefully for generations and generations to come. You've made us proud, and we're so extremely grateful. Have a great rest of the weekend, and welcome home.
Speaking of 421 Princeton, there's another connection in that address and the land where we are was Gail Offit's grandparents, Ben and Ruth Gustafson. So as we walked on this land and it was being carved, we had to hold Gail's hand. I mean, she remembered playing here and the backyard and the neighbor's yard, and so, I'm going to cry again.
The home that was here originally was built by President McVeigh, and my grandparents bought it in 1954, and my grandmother sold it to the university in 1990. My mother is still living, and my mother has been, she's in assisted living, and so when she has a good day and when construction is done, we're going to bring her here, and where she's going to be able to tour the facility.
Oh, that's amazing.
One other thing, I know my grandparents, my grandfather was a chemistry professor and also dean of continuing education. My grandmother was the registrar. They bled green. The GUs were always so good to my grandparents, like just 2 doors down, and knowing that that 421 is being used, again, by the university, by a wonderful group of young men, I know my grandparents are smiling down and they're very happy.
We're happy to be here as well. You know, Tom talked about investment, and this is an investment for sure in the future. There's a donor wall over there that you can observe, and I've just been wowed by the number of individuals who stepped forward. Certainly all donations are welcome, and we have several lead donors. I don't think Luann and Ken Reagan are here today. Yeah, I don't think they were able to make it. Dennis Hill is here today. Dennis, where are you? And speaking on behalf of what it means to be philanthropic and say this is something I care about, something that I'll invest in. We welcome our lead donors, Katie and Doug Mark.
so glad to see everybody here. The question came up earlier, how did you get here? Well, I got here in fall of '82 in an '80 Oldsmobile. Highway 2, 55 miles an hour, windows down. Anyway, a long ways since then. And I knew I wanted more, and that's how I found my way to the DU house. But go ahead. Also, I should point out, we don't do this for a living like some of these other people, so putting us at the end is not really fair, but we'll get to the ribbon cutting now.
Right. Doug came from a big family. I came from a big family. We have a big family. And my thoughts about our remarks were that, a big family needs a home. And in realty, they call it a home, not a house. This is not a house. This is the home of DU for 100 years. I think they're calling it a 100-year home because of how well it's built, so take care of it. And it actually is fitting that it's going to set a new standard for fraternities and sororities at our beloved UND. So we're so happy to be a part of the, be involved early on.
But right now, it's still a building. Kind of reminds me of when the Ingolstadt Arena was built. It was too nice. Everybody's kind of tiptoeing around. There's going to need to be a ball thrown in here.
It'll happen. So they asked us to speak from a donor perspective, and I just have a couple quick things to say. First, the very generous, quiet, generous nature of my husband. Several of you know some of the things that he's done very quietly to help people. We didn't want to be recognized for getting involved to this extent early on, but we didn't think for 2 seconds about it because DU has shaped Doug, shaped us, shaped so many of our good friends and their wives and families here. But if anything, we just hope it inspires others to consider how they can figure out a way to give back to something that you really, really care about.
So there's been a lot of things said today, and we're all somewhat emotional, and it's because emotional is kind of unchanneled passion, and it's hard to put your fingers on it. And I think I was, doing some reading recently, and people have said some profound things. I'll try to put one out there. Henry Kissinger, somebody that's probably well known to all of us, having listened to him on TV, opining and advising on world affairs and world leaders for many, many decades. But Kissinger said that the essence of leadership, the real core of it, is that they're people that are givers and protectors of hope. And I think that's, over this last 5 years, and going all the way back to the beginning in the 60s, that's what's gotten us through, is true leadership.
Just 2 messages to the collegiate members. DU brothers are in each other's weddings. They are godparents. They travel great distances to attend their brothers' parents' funerals. Support each other in many, many ways. And you all know in this room who I'm talking about. Doug needed DU in his life here at UND, and it's a part of what formed him. So just a word of inspiration for the young men. My question for you is, what can you do as a DU? Doug's late business partner, Peter Seidler, was a DU at University of Virginia. Peter's parents owned the LA Dodgers. When Peter passed away a few months ago, he owned the San Diego Padres. So in this room, you are among accomplished entrepreneurs, investors, and business owners, surgeons, lawyers, highly successful sales leaders. So my challenge to you young men is, what can you do as a DU?
I have something important to follow that with. I think our campaign has been called Honoring Our Legacy, Building Our Future. and I discovered a piece of poetry. I was a liberal arts major, so I thought some poetry would be helpful. And I loved it because the title of the piece of poetry is Legacy. I'm going to try not to cry. I think this summarizes who we are, where we've been. We are a family, blessed beyond the stars. Endless faith or random fate. It matters not the cause of our earthly union, but the purpose. Love. Love within and beyond the borders of what we have been taught from birth until now. We are here, and the open plains of emotion beckon us to journey over common and uncommon ground, to bond and to build something so special that destiny's arms will embrace. Our loved ones from the past, our loved ones in the present, our loved ones of the future, and ensure to all a legacy of love. Thank you, Robert Pallets. Class of 63, Colony, did I surprise you?
I'm sorry?
Did I surprise you?
Yes.
I've been trying to hide this book from you. Streaming a Poetic Journey, his latest publication. Thank you.
Did you steal that from Neil?
I heard a secret from Neil that this had been published, so I went to Amazon and got my own copy. So I could support.
Last commission check I got.
I am a recovering publisher, you know. I'm going to introduce a few more people. We're no more speeches. I know you've been here a long time. What I will say is that once the ribbon cutting is over, some of these chairs in the middle are going to go away. Lunch will be served, and raise your hand over there, guys. There's an entrance to the kitchen there. You go through the kitchen, come through, you can sit out here, and there's also lots of tables downstairs. So, and water. I know we all need water. So enjoy that. Also, you're welcome to wander anywhere in the house. Guys will be there to tell you the history of some of the room names and answer any questions you have. So you've heard from the speakers, and they will be part of the ribbon cutting. So I'm going to have to ask that group right there in front of those balloons to, yeah. Yep, Jerry will take care of it. So let me introduce a few. So obviously you've met Neil and you've met Keith and myself, Lynn Lukow. Others who will be part of the ceremony and holding the ribbon: Taylor Flata, immediate past president of the chapter. Taylor, Gustav Rees, chapter president before that. Welcome. Fred Mitchell, you'll be there. Brad Offit, you'll be up there. Cassie, please join. Tom DeRine, Doug and Katie, just form a line up there. Rod Kirsch hasn't been introduced yet. Rod is co-chair of the Capital Campaign. Rod has raised over $4 billion, that's a B, $4 billion for higher ed, going from Drake to Indiana University. Cal Berkeley, and Penn State. So Rod will be part of that. Thank you, Rod. Jim Sweeney. Jim is president of our Education Development Foundation, North Dakota Delta Upsilon Education Foundation, so Jim will be part of that. Todd Gierke is head of our other corporation, the North Dakota Delta Upsilon Alumni Housing Corporation, which owns this facility and manages it, so he will be there. Carrie Schilling, Brad gave a shout out, but Brad, Carrie, Carrie has, you have to look at the Schilling Building in Bismarck. It's pretty amazing. But Carrie really, you were amazing. I mean, you saw every light out of place or everything that needed to change. No, in the bigger picture, he really drove the whole focus. You'll see downstairs the house that inspired this. It actually was a home that Katie and Doug Mark owned in Minneapolis. And Carrie brought this idea. There was no argument. He said, I think this is what we need to look like. And we had one word, 40 men on the call. We said, wow. And thank you, Carrie. And the other part of the trio, Brian Poico, who knows everything about engineering, and his favorite room is all the way in the lower level, all the way in the corner. It's just loaded with technology. Thank you. Russ Grundhauser has co-chaired the events committee. One of the things when we did the work early on to figure out if we could even raise any money, the piece that we were dinged on was you haven't had a lot of communications with your alums over the years. So Russ, thank you for stepping forward and being that and driving it along with Blake and your team. And he was then joined as co-chair of that by Jerry Schmidt. And Jerry has 40 years experience in meeting planning, and do you think it shows? I'm glad it didn't cause divorce. So thank you so much, Jerry. So he will be there. Of course, Kathy Armacost, we want you in the ribbon cutting. Bruce Meidinger, where's Bruce? Bruce thought he was retired, from Crystal Sugar and managing purchasing and a lot of money. Well, back to his early CPA skills. He's really a Spanish major. Back to his CPA skills. He has single-handedly got all of our finances in order, tracking everything, pledges over time. So we're really grateful to you, Bruce. And last but not least, and you'll hear from him tonight, we're so grateful to have another individual from International Headquarters with us, Bruce McKinney, and his wife Teresa. Thank you. Bruce is a former president of International, and he's currently chairing the large educational foundation campaign. International Fraternity has done so much to promote leadership and providing a whole variety. DU was one of the first to actually, was this 5 years ago, we started measuring impact when other fraternities were not. Now a number of fraternities are following suit and a number of sororities as well. In other words, what difference does it make? What do you think, Art Malloy, about that? It's good stuff, huh? We're glad you're here too. All right, so if you will go and get in line there, Jerry Schmidt will guide you. We'll have the official ceremony, and then Kip, are we going to sing another song or two afterwards? Yeah. It's hard to see from here, so if you want to crowd in, you're welcome to crowd in.
I'm not in this. What am I doing stuff here? Very un-Lutheran of me to be there in the front like that. Well, yeah, I could have been lying down. Why didn't I think of that?
In the front with your
Yeah. Well, you don't know what the joke is. Every party, no matter who, it's me. In the front, we wait. And there were times when I didn't go up into the front, and they'd start yelling.
Brotherhood glorious, justice thy cornerstone, true manhood thy goal. For all our enemies forever victorious, hail Delta Upsilon, eternal soul.
I'll probably look too. Yes. We'll share. Like when you play it. Yeah, except maybe not.
Two rivers converging to the sea, you'll find a delta written as plainly as can be. Where you find two loyal hearts converging into one, that's the fundamental principle of Delta Upsilon. D stands for Delta, U for Upsilon. DU, Delta U, Delta Upsilon. The Chi Upsilon, Theta, be square with everyone, for it's DU, Delta U, Delta Upsilon.
All right, we'll see the rest of the night.